Don't engage alone. We do this together.
Yeah! We got it! We got it!
New 52 booklet.
Somebody clip this.
Welcome to Superman Rewatch, the show where we watch Superman deal with his relationship with the lame woman. I'm Jared, and I'm here with Nick from the Phoenix Press. What's up, brother?
You know, I gotta say, this episode rocks.
Of course. So you may be wondering why I introed the episode that way. So there's a scene in this episode, and I'll bring it up again when we get to it, where Mercy Graves says that Lane woman, but the way the actress said it, it's very much like that lame woman.
It's canon now.
It's canon now. It's canon. Bruce Timm says Lois Lane is Lois Lane.
Oh,
it's
God.
canon.
The things you're going to do with this clip.
Oh my gosh, this is gonna be a drop on Comics League for when everyone brings up her name. So anyway, we're talking about A Little Piece of Home, the debut of Kryptonite in the DCAU. And it's really cool how they go with it, because the way Kryptonite is, I think it's like typically in the comics, it's irradiated remains of Krypton's core. Mm-hmm. At least I believe. And we saw a little bit of Kryptonite fly past Cal's ship when he left Krypton, all those green streaks and all that stuff. Yeah. So it's kind of cool how this was set up. So it starts off, Clark and that lame woman are covering the opening of a Lex Luthor museum of like natural history. Criminals break into it, and they were so the way that this exhibit works is there is like all of the exhibits are like open because Lex is touting his security measures and all that. So Superman shows up, he gets really weak because it's Kryptonite, and Lex is all of a sudden like, wait a second. So Lame gets a sliver of it. And this is where I start to think she may be a little stupid. So she's meeting with Clark. She puts the thing on the table. He reacts violently, almost like he's sick. And right after she says it weakens Superman, and she doesn't notice this.
My interpretation is Lois is a character with blinders on. Like, he's very laser focused on everything in her orbit. So, you know.
But everywhere I've heard is that she's the best reporter ever, and she couldn't see the most obvious exposure in the world. This is not like he changes his posture or something like that.
By the way, I'm pretty sure the sliver of Kryptonite is the one that ends up in Batman's hands.
That wouldn't surprise me. It actually has a bat engraved on it because
if you look at like the sliver the Batman holds, it's very similar shaped.
Yeah. No, but my point is like she doesn't expose. I'm like, say what you want about Zack Snyder, at least Lois figured it out immediately. All I'm like is I'm sorry, and this is coming from someone that absolutely abhors Lois Lane with all with the fire of the exploding planet Krypton. You really painted her as a moron in this episode.
I just gotta say, I do love that ending of Man of Steel where it's like she looks at him, she kind of gives him a look, and then
welcome
Clark
to
smiles.
The planet, and then they smile. By the way, so Zack Snyder had depressed Superman. Literally, the last shot in the movie is him smiling. Watch the movie. Anyway, continuing on.
Yeah, I know. There's a sore spot for both of us. That's all good.
We also get more of the shot, and it's my it's one of my favorite Superman images of Lex in his office and Superman is just hovering there, arms crossed.
They do this so many times.
It's such an iconic image, though. They do in the comics all the time. So I'm like, yeah, I'm fine with you. Keep repeating that.
I think they even do it in the Justice League a couple times too.
Yes, they do it. Except this time he has a Martian coming at him. So Lex hires a criminal to like lure Superman into like a situation where he could be exposed to kryptonite, and the criminal, like an idiot, but this is not Lois Lane idiocracy. This is standard criminal boobage, because he's like, I'm gonna punch the crap out of Superman away from the thing that's making him weak. And I'm like, no, that's a criminal who gets too caught up in the fight.
Oh, I mean, let's be fair. Batman made the same mistake. I love how Batman, like that shot of Batman punching, and like you can tell the kryptonite starting to wear off,
and then it just goes, and then Batman's like, he's reaching for his grenade launcher again for another shell. I love that. That's such a good image. So then, Lex. So here's the scene. So Lois's source was like a LexCorp scientist. And he calls her and says, meet me at this address. I have the evidence that could take Lex Luthor down. Turns out he's under duress by Luthor and his assistant, Mercy Graves.
Also, like that scene, can we talk about like crap getting past the censors?
Yeah, go ahead.
So, he's obviously scared. It's like, Mercy Graves will accompany him. Like, and he's like, he knows what it is. Like, no, I could do like, oh no, Metropolis is such a violent city. We don't want any unfortunate accidents. And like the last shot, it's just Mercy Graves looking down upon him and smiling. I love how like the adults can like perfectly put together what she's gonna do. She's
gonna kill him, but she says something way more entertaining.
Send him to his grave.
She showed him no mercy, as is the Cobra Kai way. Superman the Animated Series is a Cobra Kai crossover. So then,
Kreese is Mercy Graves' father.
Yeah. So then we get the line. So she says, "Oh, are you sure that this was the scientist?" Oh yeah, he was seen at 10 a.m. with that lame woman.
Our man saw him go in 2 minutes after the lame woman. The lame woman. The lame woman.
Literally, Nick and I rewound the episode before we started recording this to make sure I wasn't mishearing it. The thing about it is, if you go in the subtitles, it says Lane, but the way the actress says it says lame, which I freaking love it. That now it's canon that Lois Lane is Lois Lane. I love it. DC is finally taking my lead, except retroactively. So then, Superman obviously breaks out, and then we have another BS Lois Lane moment where she throws the kryptonite across the room into a small like container, and I'm like, sweet Jesus, stop trying to make Lois Lane a thing. It's not going to work.
Yeah,
they're already giving her superpowers. Nick, have you heard? They're turning her into Superwoman in the comics. That's right. That's exactly how Britt and I reacted when we heard that. Well, here's the thing. They're also bringing back Doomsday. So with our luck,
they brought in Dan Jurgens, right?
I know, right? It's not Dan Jurgens, but he could kill her to homage the death of Superman. They're already killing Steve Trevor. All you got to do is get rid of 2 characters, and DC will sell again. That's what I would do if I were running DC. I would call it the initiative. We're basically culling the herd of redundant characters, starting with Lois Lane and Steve Trevor. Oh, and by the way, from my tenure of DC, they're never coming back. In fact, I'm making it illegal to bring them back with DC rules.
And then my tenure starts immediately after yours.
No, I would last as long as possible. I would install Taladia as my successor, and he would continue it. And then we would install Britt as our successor.
Unfortunately, the DC higher-ups want me to lead it.
Nick, stop it. No, they're not going to have Screecher cross over with Batman. Stop it. Yeah, so Lois Lane does a BS kryptonite throw, and I'm like, that is just stupid. And then save Superman.
But they set it up with her throwing pet trash away.
That was from a shorter distance. This is from across a freaking museum.
Apparently, the Metropolis basketball team should have Lois be the point guard.
So then we get to the end of the episode where we discover there's more kryptonite on Earth. Which, okay fine. So, Nick, the people have heard me talk and rant about Lois Lane enough. What do you think of this episode?
I enjoyed it. I think the T-Rex fight at the end was actually really good. I think it was actually like pretty cool, especially like Superman being like slightly depowered as he is, kind of get some stakes in this one. Also, well, here's the other thing. Lois was really nimble on her feet. And wasn't she in high heels?
That's comic book rules and cartoons. They always do that.
No, but like that, like the way she was on her, like, I'm sorry. That is ballerina levels of like nimbleness.
But she's Lois Lane.
Her pen dances, not her feet.
Oh, so I was watching the Halo show with my mom, and you know what she said?
Rest in pieces.
So my mom also does not like Quan. So I explained to her why the audience doesn't like her, that she's like very like stuck up and that she's very much like a Mary Sue. And then my mom, without prompting, goes, oh, she's the Lois Lane of this show.
You were raised correctly.
I was raised correctly. I was so proud. So there you go. So we have this episode, and
then everyone clapped.
This episode gets a 5-point boost for the lame line. I'm just telling you right there. It gets the Jennifer Hale boost because you know what? It earned it.
Instead of a hailstorm, it's a lame storm.
Thank you, Lisa Edelstein, for saying the line that way, because now I can say Lois Lane is Lois Lane according to Bruce Timm. So, for trivia, the producers considered having Superman give the giant dinosaur to Batman as a nod to the giant dinosaur that stands in the Batcave, though they ultimately decided not to. This is seasons before they do the crossover, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Professor Peterson is likely named for Professor John Peterson in the live-action Superboy TV series. In the series, Professor Peterson is the geologist who discovers kryptonite. Correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't kryptonite invented in the radio show?
It was actually, yes.
Yeah.
So the reason it was invented is because they did the show literally every day, and the announcer got 2 weeks off a year, and so they invented kryptonite as a means to explain away why his voice sounds different for those 2 weeks. It's like, the reason my voice sounds different is because I'm weak because of the kryptonite.
That's actually pretty ingenious. And wasn't it also in the radio show where all of a sudden he could fly now? They fly now.
I'm not quite sure. But he couldn't fly originally. Like
he couldn't fly originally, yeah. He was more
that's where like the leaps tall buildings in a single bound. Like that
Hulk jump.
Hulk jump, but yeah.
Yeah, it's essentially that. But anyway, so yeah. So Superman's powers have vacillated a lot in the past. He actually, it was kind of funny in the JSA World War II movie in the Tomorrowverse when the Earth 2 Superman shows up, he doesn't fly, he just jumps. When he first shows up in the suit. Obviously, in Crisis, when he returns after sleeping with Wonder Woman, I always want to bring that up. He can fly because apparently sleeping with Wonder Woman makes you Superman and allows you to fly. I say makes you Superman because DC labeled the Earth 1 Superman as Superboy.
Superboy became a Superman.
And that's what happens when you sleep with an Amazon queen. There you go. So, all in all, masterpiece episode for that one line. Yes, I'm going to say this is my favorite episode we've discovered so far. And next week we will be covering the episode called the next one's a good one. We are going in. Okay, so let me see what's on Max, because sometimes I think that sometimes this show goes into the whole production order, no airing order thing. So I'm going by the order that's on Max because I've read that is the actual order you're supposed to go through.
For mine, it's Feeding Time.
Yeah, is that the one? Yep, it's Feeding Time. The introduction of Parasite. So in other words, it's another Lois Lane episode. because she's a parasite. I'm only kidding on that. So, Nick, how do you rate this episode out of 10?
I give it an 8 out of 10.
Me
Like
too.
it's pretty good, pretty solid.
Oh, wait.
But
I have to give it a 13 out of 10 because I gave it the extra 5 Lois Lane bashing points. So it gets a 13 out of 10.
The lame storm bump.
That lame storm. That's fantastic. It's the lame storm now. We have the hailstorm and the lame storm. There you go. That works. See, this is why I keep you around. So be on the lookout for feeding time next week. And stay heroic, everyone. As Bruce Timm says, remember, Lois Lane is Lois Lane. She belongs with General Zod. Zois and Max about for life. We will see you.